this episode of Around the Corner, we brought you here to Fort Smith to the Museum of History.
At 113 years, it is the longest continuously running museum in the state of Arkansas.
And you can see this place. It's huge. Multiple floors of original artifacts inside. Are you ready to check it out?
Yes.
All right, guys, there is a whole room dedicated to the history of broadcasting here in Fort Smith.
The history of Channel 5 is inside.
And the history of radio.
This is really cool. This is a history of radio microphones in the past 50 years.
Guys, I got the voice from 1922. Here comes Babe Ruth up to the plate. The crowd goes wild.
All right, well, another thing that they have here, History of 5 News started in 1953 as KFSM Channel 22.
All right, and look at this. This is an actual news set in here.
Guys, showtime.
Showtime.
This is KFSM TV, Channel 5, Fort Smith.
Welcome to Around the Corner. I'm Joe Ellison.
I'm Tiffany Lee.
And I'm Zach Scott with your forecast,
We've got our best crews out there giving you the latest about the history of Fort Smith.
All right, first we're going to go to Zach. He's going to tell us about the history of the $1 Million Bridge.
All right, Joe. Now, before we got to the Garrison Avenue Bridge, we had the $1 Million Bridge, named so because it cost so much more than they expected. Here you'll learn about the concept to construction to the celebration, and it was a massive one when the bridge was completed. You'll also learn about how Albert Einstein's son helped improve the navigation of the waterway through the Fort Smith area on the Arkansas River. That bridge meant so much to the folks of that era.
All right, thank you, Zach. Now let's go to Tiffany out with the city's first fire engine.
Joe, this right here is the first fire engine to help fight fires in Fort Smith. It's named the J.J. Little, and that's after the fire chief at the time. Now, this is an engine that required a lot of teamwork. Right back here, you would have crews of men that would stand here, help put coal in the water to keep it hot, so there'd be enough water pressure to go through this hose. Right here, it was horse-drawn, so you had a driver that sat in that seat. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Tiffany. Great work out there, as always. Let's take you to our legal correspondent, Joe Ellison. She's in Judge Parker's courtroom. Joe?
Okay, thank you, Zach. Now, you've probably heard of Judge Isaac Parker, the hanging judge. Well, this exhibit right here is what his courtroom would have looked like. That chair back there, though, is the one that he would actually sit in to preside over cases not only in Fort Smith, but in the Indian Territories. Now, how did he get that name, the hanging judge? Well, for example, 15 convicted murderers were hanged at the Fort Smith gallows under Parker in his first year. You can learn all about that here. Back to you.
Thanks for the update, Joe. Now you're all caught up on today's news. Let's get a check of the forecast with meteorologist Zach.
All right, Tiffany, we're driving in those north winds behind that cold front. Storm's already blowing up from Fort Smith all the way up to Fayetteville. We'll be tracking in the Weather Center all weekend long.
All right, thank you, Zach. Well, that's it for us here. We'll see you next time on
Around the Corner.
Back to you.